What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Bake It with AJ. I'm AJ, and today I thought it would be amazing and very fitting for summer to show you one of the best lemon meringue pies you will ever have in your life. This recipe is so good. I used to think of lemon meringue pie as pretty daunting, but it's really not that bad. You just have to have some patience with the chilling and all that, but it is worth it. The recipe can be found using the link in my description, so go check that out. You can also find the links to my other social media down there, so definitely check that out. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can join me every Wednesday for new recipes and episodes. You guys are going to love this, so let's get started. Can't have a pie without crust, right? So for this crust, I have a 1/4 cup of vegetable shortening with a 1/2 stick of unsalted butter, both of which I've cut into cubes and put in the freezer till I was ready to use. So in those go to my food processor with 1½ cups of all-purpose flour and 1/8 teaspoon of salt. You just want to pulse that until the butter and shortening get to about the size of peas. Once they're at that point, you're going to take 4 tablespoons of ice water and slowly pour that in, and then pulse again until this dough just comes together. If you need a little bit more water, add it drop by drop. You don't want to oversaturate this dough too much because we want it to be nice and flaky. After this dough comes together, you want to dump it onto a floured, clean surface, bring it together into a nice little flat disc like this, and we're going to cover it with plastic and refrigerate it for about 20 minutes or until we are ready to use it. Now after our dough has chilled, I'm going to roll it out into a thin, large circle. You want to keep rolling this out until it extends a couple inches past the diameter of your pie dish. I'm using a 9-inch pie dish here. So just keep rolling that out until it is large enough. And once it is, I'm using this technique of gently rolling the dough up onto my rolling pin. And then I'm going to gently drape it across my pie dish here. And using the tips of my fingers, I'm just going to gently push this into the dish. You don't want to stretch this dough because it will shrink as it bakes. So be gentle and let the pie dough just naturally fall into the dish. And then trim the excess off the top around the edges there. So once it's in your dish all nice and secure, we're going to do what's called blind baking, which is very important for pie crust. You put a sheet of parchment on top of the crust and fill it with any type of beans, really, it doesn't really matter. And we're going to bake it like this at 375 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. The reason we do this is because we don't want the pie crust to rise or get thick. We want it to bake exactly at the thickness it is. So bake this for 20 minutes and then remove it from the oven, and we're going to get started on the next steps of our pie here. So for the filling, I have my sauce pot here, in which I'm going to add 1 cup of granulated sugar with 6 tablespoons of cornstarch, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 1/3 cups of water, a 1/2 cup of fresh squeezed lemon juice, do not use bottled here, and 1½ tablespoons of lemon zest. We're going to whisk this and cook it on a medium heat for about 6 to 8 minutes until it starts to bubble and thicken up really nicely. Once it does, we're going to slowly pour about a 1/2 cup into 5 large room temperature egg yolks while constantly whisking. You need to do this in a thin, steady stream while whisking to prevent cooking the egg yolks. Once you've added about a 1/2 cup of that into there, slowly in a thin, constant stream again while whisking, over medium heat, pour those egg yolks back into the pot, and once you've got all those added in there, continue to cook it for just a couple minutes until nice large bubbles appear at the surface like this. Now once it's at that point, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter just to give it some richness, and then we're going to pour this into our prepared pie crust that we blind baked just a little bit ago. Now for the meringue, I have 5 large egg whites at room temperature with a 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and a 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar. I'm going to use the whisk attachment on my hand mixer. You can use a stand mixer for this as well. And I'm going to mix this on a high speed until we get those stiff, white, glossy peaks that we love about meringue. Now we're going to add in a teaspoon of vanilla extract, combine this, and then after it is all ready to go, we're going to just spread this all over the top of our curd-filled pie crust, making sure the meringue touches all the edges of the pie shell. Now using a spoon, I'm just going to do some decorative little swirl patterns. This is going to help give it some really great color while it bakes in the oven. This is going to go in a 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes until the meringue is a nice deep golden brown. Now it is really important once this is done in the oven to let it sit at room temperature for an hour before you chill it in the fridge. This is just going to help let it set up a little bit more. You don't want any harsh temperature changes here. So wait an hour, put it in the fridge for a minimum of 4, but overnight is better. This is where the patience comes in, but trust me, it is worth it. And after it's chilled, cut it into slices and take a moment to appreciate those layers, people. This makes me so happy because it's one of my favorite desserts and I don't really make it much, but now I think I will because this recipe is a lot easier than other ones I've seen and it is so good. Once again, the recipe can be found using the link in my description, and down there you'll also find my other social media. Be sure to leave me some comments about what you think of this, how your day's going, what you want to see me make, what your favorite color is, I don't know. And of course, hit that thumbs up button and the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. This new kitchen gives me life. He's not even listening. Did you hear me?